If you or your child are not too keen on what you have to be learning this year, well, then here are 3 tips that you can use to adapt the curricular content to work for you so that you can teach how you want to. Let's kick this off by highlighting the difference between required content versus curriculum that you just don't want to waste. We are going to talk about this as a bonus at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. For the main content, I'm talking about when you feel like you're being forced to teach something that you don't want to be teaching or that your child doesn't want to be learning. How can we make this work for you? Let me know in the comments if you are in the situation where you need to adapt whatever content you are supposed to be doing, or whether you do not have any content requirements where you are. You may be thinking, wait, what? There are some people without any requirements? Yes, there are some families that are blessed with no Ministry of Education requirements whatsoever. I'm talking about no set number of instructional days, no start date and end date, and no content requirements by grade. Unfortunately, though, this is not the reality for most families. So what can you do if you have this problem where you have to teach something that you don't want to be doing? This is what this video is all about. We are going to look at how you can still teach in a way that works for you and your child, even in spite of having content requirements. This is what I do here. If you're new, welcome. My name is Natalie Burns, and I support homeschooling moms to find freedom to reflect who you are as a family through the way that you teach so that you can create deeper connection with your child. And we can do this even when we feel pressured by learning expectations. Here's how content requirements work. They need your child to learn certain content at certain grade levels so that they can check off the boxes that your child has learned enough for them to consider them a high school graduate. Now, this is why there are content requirements in some areas so that the child can receive a high school diploma at the end of their homeschooling years. Some areas do not have this requirement, and that is because they may not have the option for somebody that is homeschooled to receive their high school diploma. And then some other areas even allow the option for children to enroll in only the later grades in order to receive their diploma. And that is the case where I am in BC, Canada. A child can enroll for only grades 10, 11, and 12 and still receive their high school diploma. Now, this could be enrolling as a homeschooler. It does not necessarily need to be enrolling in a public or private school. Now, this is important for some high schoolers to consider, this high school graduation, if they are looking to move on to a post-secondary education where they need their high school diploma. They may need to show the evidence that they really did complete that required content in their high schooling years so that they are ready to build upon that content in their post-secondary years. Now, this is not always the case, though. There are homeschoolers that do not receive a high school diploma that are still able to move on to post-secondary education. And this is because universities and colleges do include high school equivalent courses. And if your child does not necessarily want to take those courses, they do also often offer the ability to challenge that course by taking an exam or even meeting for an interview. So why bother with adapting curriculum? Why not just skip that stuff that you don't want to do? Well, if you are enrolled and are under the guidance of the Ministry of Education, then they will be checking in to see that your child is doing the content requirements for their age or grade level. If you do not have ministry requirements, well, that does not necessarily mean that you won't need to show some evidence for their learning in the future. There have been some instances where the ministry checks in for an unrelated reason and they ask questions about education. So in this case, it's really great to have something that you can show for what content your child was learning and what level that was at. And this could be simple like your planner. It could be a yearbook, a homeschool family yearbook, or even a box of projects that have been completed. What do you really have the power to do when you feel like you're being forced to teach something that you don't want to? Here are my top 3 tips. Number 1, merge with multiple children and hit those content requirements one time. If you have requirements, well, you may be enrolled. So talk to your support teacher or your local overseer about what content options you have. In some areas, you may be able to complete content requirements up to 2 years before or 2 years behind the current grade level. For example, the topic of outer space comes up in grades 4, 6, and 10. So what you could do if you have children in multiple grades, you can combine those content requirements and teach everybody all of that at one time. So for example, if you have children in grade 4, 5, and 6, you can teach both the grade 4 content and the grade 6 content all at once, checking those boxes. Then you do not need to do this content again in a couple of years. Number 2, cover the content in a way that your child really enjoys. So for example, maybe they love games. Can you find a game that covers this content, or could you create a game to cover this content? Now, this could become a problem if your child has liked creating games, but now is creating another game for the content around physics and motion. Maybe now they're doing a snakes and ladders offshoot and it goes up on the shelf next to their space-themed game. We don't want this to be forced. We want this to be really natural in how it's fun. So maybe in this case with motion, you can get a spinning top and start playing with that and have them start asking questions. Have them state what they wonder about what they're seeing. Maybe you could even install a swing and have them start to move in different ways to feel what that motion really feels like for their body. Here's where the struggle is with this tip, and it's that it's not very easy for us as homeschooling moms to prove to the Ministry of Education that we actually taught our child something meaningful by talking about a spinning top or swinging in a swing. It's a lot easier to prove and show them that we met these content requirements with something like a workbook, although we all know that a workbook in every category can get a bit much. However, a fun way like a game can be a really abstract way for them to showcase their learning, and it's not obvious that they really know all of that depth. So what you can do here is do something simple like add an audio clip. Ask them some prompt questions and have them answer those questions to showcase the depth that they really know. And number 3, come at it from at least 2 perspectives. Your child probably already picked up on the fact that you're not too keen on this content, or maybe they're the ones not too keen on the content, so you already have that perspective down. Now try to look at it from the opposite. Why do other people love this topic? What is it about this that makes them think about it differently? Highlight the contradiction and the rub that they start to notice here. Highlight what it looks like to really sit in and learn something that we may never actually agree with. And watch your personal perspective in this moment, because how we view learning will come across in our teaching. This 2-perspective approach is a really great way to challenge ourselves to not subconsciously put our belief systems about learning on our children. It allows them to start to think about different ideas and perspectives and create their own ideas in their own mind rather than just thinking what they think you want them to think. Your attitude makes all the difference here. If you can approach this content in a, well, this is how we want to do it kind of perspective, then it comes across as more of an opportunity for your child rather than a burden. Remember at the beginning when I mentioned about curriculum that you just don't want to waste? Well, I would like to share with you a personal example here. Take the Evan Moore Daily Language Review. Now, don't get me wrong, I really love this workbook, and my children enjoy doing it too. They really like how quick and fast it is and the quick win takeaways that they get each day that they do it. Even though we all love it, we don't tend to do it as often as the book has for us to do it, which is every day. So there are options to adapt the curriculum so that it works for you. One of the ways in this case could be to verbally ask the questions or say the statements to your child and then have them verbally make the corrections to it. Maybe you could just do half of them, do every other day, and save those other days for the next child next time when they're in that grade. And this is what I'm doing in this case. Remember perspective about what has to be done and how that has to be done. It's okay if it doesn't work for you to go through a workbook every day like it does for your friend. If you need someone else to tell you this, well then hear me now. You have permission to take what you already have and adapt it to work for you and your family so that you can teach how you want to. If you are looking for more information about how you can adapt curriculum and teach in a way that works for you in your home, well then I would like to invite you to a free workshop that I have coming up called 3 Secrets to Revamp Your Homeschool Approach and Unlock Deeper Connection with Your Child. You can find that at homeschoolteachingsimplified.com/free workshop. If you found this to be encouraging or helpful, I would love for you to hit that like button and subscribe so that you can join us for the next one. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.